Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I am your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat with some special guests. We got Paul and Greg from Fox Bravo Overland. But before we get into this episode, are you guys enjoying the podcast? Then make sure you go hit up our website. That's right, the Lost Art Project Veteransvoices.org. Again, that's the Lost Art Project Veteransvoices.org. We are a new nonprofit, so if there's any way you can help us out, it'd be much appreciated. A big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out again. I'm telling you, it's an awesome organization. If we can help them in any way, it would be absolutely incredible. But you can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, here we are. We are back. We got this fireside chat thing going on. Very excited. Got our special guests. I'll go ahead and just go around, see how everybody's doing. We'll start with Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Got one more day down here in Florida for work, and I get to go home. So,
woo-hoo, yeah,
being in a doggone hotel room.
Sorry, I'm being interrupted here. My daughter is yelling at me here, but anyways, I got our special guest. I'm very excited about this. We have a Marine veteran, Paul Zambelli. I don't know if I said that right. Did I say it right?
Close enough. Good to go.
Okay, close enough. All right, I like that. And then we also got Greg Walton. Man, they're from Fox Bravo Overland, which they're going to tell us all about today. Very excited, but we'll start with Paul. Paul, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us on the show, AJ. I appreciate it. And Mike, good to meet you. I know you're in a hotel, but I'm happy that you don't have any swag or anything behind you like Greg and AJ do with all your military awards and everything, just a plain background. So it's good that someone's comfortable with themselves and doesn't need to have the wall of awesomeness behind. But no, thank you very much for having us out there and listening and learning about Fox Bravo Overland.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And of course, Greg, the only Army dog on here right now. So, but you're still welcome, Greg. You're still welcome. I'm excited that you're here. How you been doing?
Doing really well. I am coming to you guys from Georgetown, Texas, about an hour north of Austin. I think the temperature today is hot, but it'll probably be freezing next week. But I think that's kind of doing that everywhere. So, doing all right.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Well, gentlemen, I'm excited that you're here. I just kind of want to dive into it. But I guess before that, if you don't mind, give us a little background on each of you. I mean, you don't have to go into a full history if you don't want to, but just a quick snapshot of your career and everything. We can start with Paul if you want.
Well, we'll let Greg. I let my elders usually go first.
Okay. Yeah.
As I always do. We've known each other for going on 24, 25 years now, I guess. So I'll let Greg, you go first.
And you still know how to hurt my feelings. Greg Walton, I spent almost 10 years in the Army, was commissioned armor. I'm 6'4", so that makes sense. Ended up going to Iraq the first time around back in 91, Desert Storm. Ended up transferring over to airlift airdrop, did that for the rest of my approximately 10 years. Got out, worked for a defense contractor for a bit doing weapons testing. Realized that defense contractors' whole purpose in life is not to give the service members better gear, but to create jobs for themselves. And I lost sort of the luster for that. And I joined the FBI, came in the FBI in 99. Paul and I both met, ironically assigned to cyber, a devil dog and Army guy like myself were obviously in the right guys for cyber. But we did all right. Right after 9/11, I moved over to counterterrorism, spent the rest of my career doing international terrorism. That's where Paul and I
Oh, wow.
spent most of our time together. In addition to that, in the Bureau, we've got SWAT team, tactical teams in each field office. And Paul and I spent a lot of time together doing that. Pretty much the last, I guess, 5 years of my career, I was the commander of our team out in San Francisco.
Wow.
Did police, military, other tactical training for folks, and retired almost six years ago, I guess. Escaped California and moved to Texas, and here I am. And we'll get into Fox Bravo. We'll tell you about that in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's awesome. You've obviously had a storied career, so I will hope you come on and tell your individual story at some point in time, because I would be very interested to hear all of it. So we'll talk after this. Maybe I can convince you to do it. Paul, how about you?
Yeah, Paul Zambelli. I'm coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, where I came out for the Bureau about in 2002, but grew up in northern New Jersey. I wound up going to Naval Academy. Somehow got through the Naval Academy and was able to get Marine Corps out of there, Marine Corps ground. And then for the basic school was 0300. I made it. So I went 0302 and spent some time out in the Pineapple Corps out in Hawaii for my time as lieutenant and junior captain out at 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, and then CSSG 3 is what it was called at the time. I'm actually not sure what it's called now, but and then after that, I went to the FBI right after 9/11, and it was before then I started applying, but basically got in 02. And then went out to San Francisco, and actually the first person I met when your first day showing up at your division, I want to make a good impression. I knock on the door of a very small, it was a cyber squad, but it was in a building that was the only FBI there. It wasn't a main office, what we call a resident agency.
Yeah.
And the person that opened the door was Gregory Walton. So he was the first person that I met actually out here at FBI San Francisco, and we became great friends from there. So my career was again, started a little cyber, then did a bunch of terrorism throughout. I had a little bit of a different. Was able to go to the overseas part, and then went into management. So the FBI is overseas. We have 63 offices overseas at different embassies.
Right.
I was TDY'd a bunch, but then I spent 2 years in Tunisia, overseeing Tunisia, Libya, Niger, and Algeria, along with another agent. And then I went into management quickly. So I was a supervisor and the assistant special agent in charge, we call it, of the San Francisco office. And then my last job was I was the deputy legal attaché in London.
Wow.
And then so retired last year. January of last year, so about a year ago, out of London. And so that's my very nutshell, abbreviated background and how I got here.
I love it. And Paul, you too, I'm going to have to get on the show to tell your individual story. Man, both absolutely incredible careers. And it's really cool that you guys met. I mean, checking in, and Greg is your first person that you meet. Now, was he your boss starting out? Did he train you on everything?
Yeah, well, he trained because he was a senior, senior agent to a new agent. So we do have what's called a training agent. Greg was not mine, but he trained me, and we wound up. I was only on that squad for a short time, and then we both left that squad and went up to a bigger building in Oakland, a bigger office, if you will. And then a couple years later, wound up sitting next to each other on the terrorism squad. And so, but as far as learning, here's a little thing about Greg, and I'll embarrass him. We had a couple guys on the former Army guys as well that were on the SWAT team, and they designated Greg as the colonel, even though he never was a colonel, but he just carried himself as a colonel, and we just assumed he would be a colonel. So that thing stuck because everybody learns from Greg, and if he points you in the direction, you're going to go to it. So that's kind of some of the background. But we worked together on a lot of cases in the terrorism field, and again, sitting next to each other for I think about 6 years, right, Greg, or so, give or take, every day. So
Now, as you guys moved throughout your career and worked together off and on type of thing, obviously became good friends. And from that, the Fox Bravo Overland kind of came to fruition. So if you guys don't mind, kind of share with us how that happened.
yeah, Greg, you mind if I just start real quick?
I would love for you to start, Paul.
So when I came back, I went back into the Marine Corps from the FBI and did a tour in Iraq as a part of the inactive reserve. Got a call one day and went back in, came back, had a couple, like everybody had a couple shekels in the wallet. And like most of us, I needed a car because I didn't own one. So I bought a Land Rover and forward a little bit, a year or two, and Greg and I are sitting next to each other, and I'll let him tell what vehicle he had at the time, which is absolutely awesome, wish he still had it. But we started talking about going off-road, and there's something called the Camel Trophy, which if you've never heard of it, look it up, and your listeners look it up. It's an amazing event that occurred in the 80s and 90s with Land Rover. But wanting to go out off-roading and some other things to it for us, mentally speaking, that we'll get into. But we just started talking about, hey, let's go out and do some trips and use these off-road vehicles as they're actually designed to, and not just to drive around town. So that's kind of how I got into it with the off-roading. I didn't grow up with that. I was a suburban kid from Jersey, but it's something that I always wanted to do. And now I had a vehicle that could do it. And so talking with Greg, we just kind of started hyping each other up. And so Greg, I'll let you go from your angle of attack on that, because I know you had a little different background than I did as a younger kid.
Yeah, so I grew up, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mountain Warfare Training Center in California, Bridgeport. So I grew up just south of Bridgeport and Bishop. So when I turned 16 years old, worked for my dad, and I bought a Jeep. And the cool thing about growing up there was it was all outdoors, everything you wanted to do. So I had no idea. It's kind of like riding a motorcycle. You learn how to ride, but you don't really know how to ride. It was kind of four-wheel drive was kind of the same thing. Lucky I'm still here today. But never really occurred to me that I'd be reintroduced later on. Yeah, I went in the Army. I was on tanks. Ended up doing, like I said, airlift, airdrop stuff. But when I came into the Bureau, I had motorcycles, and we had our second kid. Like, that's not going to really work. What can we do that would be kind of fun? Let's buy a car and go camping. And at the time when Paul had bought his Land Rover, let's be clear, he lived in north of San Francisco, which is pretty bougie. So the Land Rover was in vogue, right? So it wasn't like it was set up for off-road at that point. It was definitely a soccer mom car. And,
Yeah.
So I initially bought like a really old, like a 1972 Toyota Land Cruiser, and family pretty quickly voted that down with no AC. We're spraying the kids with spray bottles to keep them cool. And so the FBI has a program called Tactical Embed. So both of us ended up deploying overseas as counterterrorism and tactical agents, embedding with military special operations. When Paul already had his Land Rover, I think, did you get it after you got back from your deployment or before? You already had it?
I got that in 2005 after I got it from Iraq. And then
so before
I bought it with what I saved for the Afghan deployment. That was when I started building out the truck. So again, coming back, like a drunken sailor coming in with money, just spend it on things on hobbies that you like doing.
So when I got back when I was deployed, it was very low vis. I was using newer Toyota Land Cruisers that were incredibly reliable, really good off-road. So I got back and I was like, hey, you can still have a really cool off-road vehicle that has an automatic transmission and air conditioning and power brakes. It's not overrated. So I ended up buying a Land Cruiser, a newer one, still old, but newer, 90, I think it was a 95, and this is in 2010.
Okay.
And so, I came back to the squad. So then we're working together, and that's when I think when we really started talking about. It was kind of a combination. One, having been overseas, especially working the counterterrorism thing, how fast everything was going. We were on with special operations on this 4-month deployment. You're running the whole time, and you get back, and Paul and I would put in a request for phone records for a subject, and it would take like 2 or 3 weeks just to find out that who he called, and then we'd have to put in another request and wait 2 weeks to so
Right.
pretty disillusioned with the whole thing. And we're back in major metropolitan area, and we both kind of wanted to get away. And so I think that was kind of some of the impetus. This is right at the start of some of the overland mapping systems. Like you could go to Google Earth, but there really wasn't good off-road programs. So we had our big benchmark map books, and we figured out where we wanted to go. And we just asked some friends if they wanted to go. I think we had like 4 or 5 vehicles, took off from San Francisco, went up over the Sierras out toward Bridgeport, out Bodie and Western Nevada. I think we spent almost a week out there. Really had no idea what we were doing. Realized if we broke down, we'd probably be in trouble. But that was kind of the start of it. And it wasn't until we got back, I don't think, that we really realized how, one, it was fun, and we were around guys like us. But the other thing was, it was a good release. It allowed us to reconnect and away from everything else. And so for a while we were doing maybe 2 trips a year out there, but it was still our small little group.
Right.
And I think it was 2016. So we'd been doing it for 5 years, I guess. I was over in the UK, and I ran into a veterans charity called Pilgrim Bandits, which is the SAS sponsored.
Okay.
And they do adventure stuff for injured veterans. And so talking to them is like, hey, if you ever want to come over to the US, Paul and I do this thing, maybe we could put a trip together. And sure enough, 2019, they came over, and that was our first, I guess, real organized trip.
Okay.
So the name Fox Bravo, I guess I should kind of illuminate that. So when we're deployed overseas as FBI agents, that was our call sign. So if they needed, and we had different jobs over there, right, running sources and exploiting searches, and we were the guys that could testify if there was a terrorist kind of thing.
Right.
So go find the Fox or the Fox Bravo. So that was our call sign. So we brought that back, promptly claimed it as our own, and came up with Fox Bravo Overland.
That's awesome.
Well, our first couple of trips, we were Task Force Hombre, which everything had to be a task force. So it was Task Force Hombre. Because at the time, Greg and a couple of the guys had some young kids that they brought their young kids out. We did start with, I think we had one buddy of ours that had this old Jeep that actually the first 3 trips didn't actually make it to the start out point. He broke down before that, and we just left it somewhere, and he just jumped in with other people. But yeah, it was the first time we just kind of jumped in the vehicle, and that's what we tell. I mean, from a bigger point, if you do have folks, listening or whatever that have off-road vehicles that want to go try this, one of the things that we say is, you can, especially former military guys and girls, get out there and find some tracks. The year before we went on our first trip, an ex of mine, we wanted to go to Moab. Because we were looking for a vacation point. We said, hey, well, we'll bring the truck out and let's go off-roading. So I took a couple courses from Land Rover. It's an experience course, which you pay a lot of money for them to teach you, but it's actually really good information. And then we went out into Moab and went out into what's called the Maze District, the Canyonlands. Fantastic place. But we didn't really, it was even worse than when Greg and I were out for that time, because we could at least help fix the vehicles or figure stuff out together. Like had we broken down out in the Maze District, we would have gotten out of there. There's other people there certainly, but at the end of the day, the vehicles, if you have a good stock vehicle or a good vehicle like a Toyota, a Land Rover, it gets a lot of bad press, but they're really capable vehicles out of the box, Jeeps as well, and you can kind of go out, and that was what we kind of got people to tell, like, hey, just grab your Jeep or your truck and come out and just see how awesome it is to go find no one. And being California based, I have to say it's easy for us. I'm an East Coast guy, so there's not a lot of, the amount of BLM land, Bureau of Land Management land. that we have out here and all these places that you can go, especially out in Nevada and the Sierras, it was easy for us to find and not have to drive very far to find no one and to be on our own, and to be out there as a crew with the teamwork, without the stresses of family, the phone calls that you're going to get as an agent at any given time. Especially back then, there wasn't as good cell service as there is now, even 15 years ago, that we could kind of be just on our own and in a challenging environment. And a little bit is you're not showering out there, you're sweaty, and you kind of feel like you're in the field again. And we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it after that first time seeing it. And we came back, like Greg said, and this is fantastic. We got to do this again. And every year we've done at least one major trip, which is a 7 to 10 day expedition out west somewhere. So that was kind of the genesis of Fox Bravo, what became Fox Bravo Overland.
Yeah. Now, as time progressed and you're doing these, and you were saying that you would just invite people to have a Jeep, invite people to have a truck or whatever to come out. And then, were you inviting others as well, like to ride along or anything like that?
Yeah, we had people just jump in. We had people who came from friends of ours back east would fly out just to get on a trip. And so folks who we thought might be interested in it. And we'll talk about how kind of it works now and how it's transformed. And I'll let Greg talk about that because he's the main impetus behind where we are now. But yeah, absolutely. There's also a time where everybody wanted to kind of bring their trucks, and sometimes we had to say, like, look, we can't have 10, 15 vehicles out there because from a logistics standpoint, it gets to be a lot for feeding and how much time, because we're all on leave at the time from work. So the more vehicles you have through there, if you're through a technical section or through something that takes you a while, well, 4 or 5 vehicles might take you an hour. 15 vehicles would take you, a lot more. So we took, I think one of our biggest trips was Moab one year. And Greg, how many vehicles we have out there? Almost 8 or so?
Yeah, we ended up splitting into 2 teams. Yeah, I think we had 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just becomes, the logistics part of it becomes more difficult for that.
Very interesting.
But Greg, you want to cover kind of how it, so we did this, and it was AJ for us, mainly everybody we knew from work or family, or folks. I had a couple guys from, a buddy of mine from the Marine Corps came out one time, just, hey, we're going to do this. And Greg and I would say, this is the dates, this is where we're going, let us know who's available. And, jump in. And so, that kind of was the first, at least on and off, and still kind of is at times, the first 10 trips or so. But as Greg said, 2019 was our first trip taking other folks out that we didn't know. And that was a phenomenal trip. I don't know if, Greg, you want to talk about kind of how that came up. Greg wrote a book, by the way, just to let you know. He helped write a book about the M1 tank that looks like a Haynes manual. So he hasn't told you that, but that's how he that's why he was at the Tank Museum in the UK, was promoting his book, which he may or may not be stark naked next to a tank on page 124, I believe it is.
You got it. Is it earmarked?
Not that I have that like up on my wall, by the way. That's just to let you know. But that's where he met the Brits, and then kind of came back with the idea. So Greg, I'll let you kind of jump on kind of some of the genesis of that.
So the Pilgrim Band, it's UK and in New Zealand, and so this great guy Andre Edwards, South African, now a UK citizen, and I started talking, and he goes, "Well, what about folks that are handicapped?" I'm like, "I don't know, we've never done that before. Sure, we'll figure it out." So that first trip, we had 2 double amputees, a single amputee, a guy with spinal cord injuries. And then all of us were all messed up in the head anyway. And so all of us got together and went out and figured it out. And there was some learning stuff, but we had an absolutely fantastic time. The biggest thing I think we took away was those veterans are exactly like us. The benefit that we have is we have so many resources, that available to us in the U.S. In Australia, for example, like you don't even tell anybody you were in the military. It still has it's almost like Vietnam era.
Wow.
When I was in Afghanistan, I worked with the Norwegians, and several of them have been over, and nobody even wants to hear that you were in the Army. They don't care. And then so one of the guys, Ben Parkinson, one of the double amputees, who I think he's still considered, he was the most injured. He was a British para regiment guy, the most injured British soldier in Afghanistan that survived. And I think he died like 8 or 10 times, double amputee, broke his back in several places. He was from Yorkshire, which, is you can't understand what they say anyway out of Yorkshire. But apparently his TBI, like he lost his accent and he had to teach himself to talk again. And so he has like some motor skill issues. So once you understand him, he's absolutely a riot, hilarious. But he wanted to come on the trip. And so we figured it out. And so he's been on a trip every single year since. And I guess to really highlight the value of what we see in the trips, like Andre said, hey, Ben would like to come. Andre, the South African guy, is sort of his minder. He helps Ben when he comes on the trips. And he says, hey, Ben wants to come every year. And I was like, absolutely. And he said, it's the only place Ben can go where people don't feel sorry for him or look down on him or look at him like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Because as soon as he gets off the plane, like we cut him absolutely no slack whatsoever. We were out, he wanted to go swimming and we're like, what, are you kidding me? And we're in it's a real shallow like creek. But so we carried him out to the middle and just dropped him in the water and walked away. And so he's stuck out in this creek. And it was fun for a while. And then he decides he's done. And we're like, well, I'm not sure what you want us to do about that. Right. And so it's just, it's fun. He's back in the unit kind of thing.
Right.
So that first trip we had folks from the UK and from New Zealand. I retired that year, moved to Texas, then COVID hit. And so we ended up delaying a bunch of stuff. And if you don't know, there's no public land in Texas. There is nowhere to go do this. You drive 8 hours to Big Bend State Park, which is okay. But really the magic is, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada, Utah.
Right.
So now I'm driving out there to do this. But there's an organization here that I became a part of called Heroes Resource Center. And the guy running it found out what I was doing. And he's like, hey, we need to do this again. And so he really kind of got me motivated to spin it back. I needed something to focus on. I was kind of spiraling post retirement. And so we fired it back up. And I think that first trip was Grand Junction, right? Colorado into Utah. And since then we've gone there, New Mexico, Arizona, and this year we're going out of Sacramento up and over into Nevada again. And January of 25, we became our own nonprofit 501c3. And so we've currently got folks that are trying to raise money for us. All our trips are paid for this year. We've got
Nice.
Everybody's a volunteer, so nobody's making any money. Last year, Paul, he had just retired and we had him out in the bush it was at least 2 months, probably, just camping out there, talking about meth addicts camp next to him and stuff, trying to recon our trail and then lead the trips. And he did every single trip. And so it's a big ask of volunteers, but the way we're structured now, this year we have 4 trips. So we have 2 we call alumni trips. So if you've been on a trip before, you can go up on the alumni trip. And that's kind of our old school we used to do, where we don't know where we're camping. We don't know exactly where we're going. We'll figure it out when we get there. And we've got 7 days.
Okay.
The intro trips, we call the overland expeditions, are 10 days. And that includes the day on either end back at a hotel. So basically 8 days out. And we have base camps. And that came about really because of Ben and guys like him that they can't drive. Do they really want to bounce around in a truck for 12 hours a day? We'll go do fun stuff. We'll do challenging trails. And we're not, by any means, we're not doing the Rubicon or any of that crazy stuff, but we do some pretty challenging trails. And from the base camp, we go do day trips. And then we started this competition. So for example, if Mike and AJ, if you guys were with me, we be a team for the week in my vehicle. You're going to rotate between vehicles, so you get to drive them all and meet different people. But for the competition, we're the team. And for camping, all your stuff stays in my vehicle. And so we're the team for the week. And then at the end of the week, we sort of have a capstone exercise, and it's not super challenging stuff. It's like pub games, right? We have cornhole and darts and petanque and archery, and we teach land nav for folks that didn't know how to do it, just basic stuff. And then we do firebowling, survival skills. Yeah, we don't have any Space Force guys yet, but we do have Air Force. So we got to deal with those sort of skills.
Nice. Yeah.
So then like the capstone sort of ties everything together. We give a scenario like your car's broken down. You've got to navigate to find the spare parts. You got to navigate to find water because you're going to get stuck here overnight. And so there's a competition, us against Paul and his crew for time and stuff like that. And we have awesome sponsors that donate prizes, Magpul and Audi Gear and Fjallraven,
Cool.
Pretty nice stuff. And then the last night we have sort of a farewell dinner, award ceremony or whatever, and everybody goes on their way. The one thing that we've been very careful about, because, and I'm sure you've participated in veteran events where like, hey, you get to go duck hunting, and they outfit you in duck hunting camo and give you a shotgun, and you go out for a day and then you're done.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, that's really not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a community. And so you getting picked and going out on the trip is just welcome to the team is kind of a thing. And
I like that.
We're on WhatsApp all the time. There's guys from the UK always, busting us for this and that, whatever. New Zealand. I had a guy from New Zealand call me one day. He was a former infantry guy, now a cop. He had just gotten in a near shooting, and he was all frazzled, and he wanted to talk to somebody. Middle of the night there, so he calls me. And that's really like a big deal for us is, I mean, as you know, what the whole 22 deal is,
Right.
We got to reconnect, and we got to keep guys in the community. And so the trips are one thing. And then obviously the alumni trip, we want you to keep coming back. Usually guys after the first trip, when they get cell signal, are shopping for a vehicle. And then we're trying to start these workshops. I have a shop here on my property in Texas, and we've probably worked on 10 vehicles so far. So even guys and gals that aren't necessarily from an anxiety perspective, or if they don't have time to go on a trip, they can come hang out in the shop.
Right.
We replaced an engine in a 4Runner. We're currently building out another Land Cruiser. And so we've got that. And then, but ideally it's somebody like, if you need somebody, there's a community already. And that's kind of where we're going with this whole thing. I think.
Yeah, it's an awesome perspective on how to do things, and it's unique. I don't know any other organizations that are doing that type of thing. You mentioned like duck hunting, or there's some fishing ones and things like that. But specifically going out and doing the exercise and all that type of stuff is very unique.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many. There's some other folks doing some off-roading, but it's usually, my understanding, a day trip or something like that. I think we're one of the few groups that will go out and do a 10-day expedition of varying terrain. And part of that too, especially on the expedition where we're at campsites, because how it will work, we'll go to a campsite, we'll be at a campsite. We have phenomenal support folks. So we have a guy named we call Cookie that comes out with the trailer that Greg basically made, fabricated, and we get all the meals fed to us as we, for the day that we go in. So we'll go out and do some trails, or we'll do training. We're very, very lucky. And for those that go to fboverland.com, that is our website. You'll see there we do have we have some people that are ambassadors, but we also have some folks who are, and I'll give Greg a plug this as well. Some of our folks did the Camel Trophy. They were actual people that were on the Camel Trophy. They've forgotten more about off-roading and recovery and things like that than I'll ever know. We've got folks who've been teaching or in this world for decades, and they are part of our family. They come on the trips as well. And so what we're trying to do is because we do want people to get into this. I mean, we were batting 1,000 from all of our friends, as Greg said, with people wanting to get vehicles and go out. but we don't want you to have to wait, and we don't want people to have to wait for us to plan something. So what we are doing is we're teaching them how to drive the vehicle. There are very specific techniques that we like to do. Most of them came from Greg teaches at a course that JSOC and Special Forces just used to go to. So it's the same thing we're teaching them. So we're learning some recovery. You're learning how to drive the vehicles to give that confidence, one, to come back out on a alumni trip, which is usually a little more, it's a 200, 300 level course, but again, nothing that is Rubicon or Poison Spider, I guess, is one of the big Moab trails or what have you. This is Overland, but you're coming out with some skills, some confidence to come back out on a trip, maybe be a team leader on a trip, because we do designate. We take 5 vehicles out pretty much on each, which is kind of what we've seen as the sweet spot. So it's about 15 people, 5 team leaders, and then you'll have myself or Greg will be the lead scout up front. That's kind of leading the off-road portion of it. And so what we want to do is part of that community is also, the love, if you like it, is this off-roading overland world, which has been phenomenal. And that's what Greg and I, love. So it's really been important for us to have those skills that people can take out so then they can go enjoy it on their own, but also be out of the community and want to come out on a trip in the future.
Let me hit the unmute. One thing I'm kind of curious about is, the camaraderie aspect of it. I'm assuming like when you're at base camp or you're camping out or what have you, that there's a lot of conversation back and forth between everybody that's there. And probably, I would assume, helping out with like their anxiety, PTSD, or anything like that, where they can talk more freely.
Yeah, it was kind of I would say not purposeful. It started, we just noticed it happened, right? And the other thing is the 3 of us are stuck in a car for 8 hours. Right? And not that we can't listen to some pretty good music, but there's some pretty good conversations that end up happening.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons we're 10 days long. We tried some shorter trips, and there's not enough time to connect and not enough time to let shields down. But both in the cars and then like around campfire ends up being almost magical. The Andre, the South African guy, does wood carving, and he actually made a plaque. In 2024, we were out on September 11th. And so he did like a little memorial thing, and we actually went around the campfire, and it's like, hey, where were you on September 11th? Right. To my dismay, there were some guys that were in 3rd grade, but that's their fault. But pretty fascinating and pretty emotional for some folks, right? And but yeah, you're absolutely right. That connection then we found carries on, right? And people they feel free either on WhatsApp is one of the tools we use, but people will just pick up the phone and call the other guys too if they need somebody or want to talk. And and again, yeah, that's what we want to happen.
Yeah, I'm loving that. I don't hear you, Paul.
Can't read your lips.
I was just seeing if you guys knew how to read lips or not.
Yeah, no.
We have become international. Greg and I were lucky enough to join a group called Veterans in Action, which is a British group. Fantastic people. They do, and you mentioned PTSD. That they do look at PTSD, and kind of that's what they're one of the things they help out with British veterans. And it's been great to have them be a part of our group. Greg and I actually got very lucky and did an overland through Europe with them last year, where we went to Normandy, Hertigan Forest, Arnhem, and then out to Poland to include Auschwitz and the concentration camps. Amazing group of people, and so it's been lucky that we do have these folks from other places, other veterans, other law enforcement that have come to just kind of there's a shared background that we have with them, and from being in the same places overseas for certain vintage, or just the same backgrounds of being military or being law enforcement throughout the world. And that's been really important to us. And again, that's what we're trying to build, is that community. We're not we're not trying to say, and Greg, if I may say on this, we're not trying to say we're, people that are in some world of strife or whatever, that we're going to, put you absolutely in the right direction. And I don't want to use the word fix because that's not the correct word, but that's not what we're looking to do, but we're looking to put, we're hoping to get good folks out there that want that connection, that want to get back into something that's interesting like this. And we've had people that have no real desire to be off-roading necessarily. They're not car guys like Greg and I. They don't geek out about all this stuff, about what the Land Rover's coming out with, or the suspension, or, you name it. The DC Chargers. But once they get out on that trail, and once they drive, and we had a guy that did not like heights at all, and he's driving down in Arizona, this switchback, which is about a drop off that's hundreds of feet, and he's the guy behind the wheel, and there's no one else that's going to take that wheel.
Wow.
And so it was pretty good. And every night we do sit around the campfire, we go around and talk about the day, kind of what we liked about the trail or what we learned. And it does help with us kind of molding as a team by the end of the trip.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Hey, it sounds like a fun trip to go on. I mean, there's nothing better than getting together with like-minded people and friends and just having a good time. And you throw in some off-road vehicles and some good trails, and you can't beat that. At least I can't beat that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's Greg. You want to
now, Greg?
Since
Now, Greg is
AJ,
muted.
Yeah, well, actually, since you brought that up, Greg, you want to just go over, since we're on it, it's a good segue. AJ, excellent job. It's like you're running this thing.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here.
And I know time-wise is, I think we got plenty, but just kind of how to apply, Greg, if you want to cover that. I know because you're a little more a part of that than I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been very fortunate to have, we've got a couple grants, donors, whatnot. We're trying to go bigger. The problem is with, current administration, as well as just the economy, government grants have gone away. So everybody's looking to private funding. And so now these guys that really know what they're doing, we're competing with them to try to get funding for, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, right? Like, how do I go get money? I'm not a sales guy. I told them Paul and I are going to run the operations. You guys can go find the money. But we've done pretty well. We've had some very generous, really grassroots level fundraising. The trips are paid for. So if you guys wanted to come on a trip, all you got to do is get to Sacramento and back this year. That's your only job, and everything else is paid for. And we ask guys gals going on their first trip, you don't bring your own vehicle. You need to see what you're getting into because other people are going to drive your car as well. And so if you're not willing to do that, a guy showed up with a brand new Bronco Raptor. That didn't go well. He did not. I think he left early. Had some other issues, but and then Paul took us up this nasty trail where it sounded like children screaming with the brush scraping against the sides of the cars. And just like, oh my God, my paint job. Like, yeah, you'll get over it. But so you don't have to have your own vehicle. We don't let you if it's your first trip. You don't have to know you have to have a driver's license. That's it. You don't have to know how to drive off-road. You don't have to have any experience, even camping, right? I mean, obviously the four of us have a little experience living in the dirt, but we have gear. Like if people don't have camping gear, I swore off sleeping in the dirt when I got out, and then I had kids and I went camping again. But we have stuff. And so Paul and I plan the routes. We're going to go do the recce in May just to see what's what. And then you just fly out. The first day you meet everybody, you get assigned to a team. The team leader will actually be in touch with you before the trip, make sure you're good to go. And then we have training in the parking lot, and then we push out, and then we're on the trail. And like I said, we got 2 campsites for the trail. One's actually pretty close to Bridgeport this year, and then one will be north of Tahoe, the second one. Along the way, Paul's identified some hot springs for people that smell more than others, so we can stop and kind of get clean. And then we got the competitions during the week. And So it's not a heavy lift. It's just a lot of people have anxiety about doing something they don't know about, especially of our vintage, which is weird how we were all thrown into a bunch of stuff, but now people are hesitant to go do stuff. And that's why we're trying to get them out of their comfort zone and get them to do something again. But once you get out there, and everybody says that, like by day 3, it's a big family, and we have a lot of fun. And then, like I said, the last day we come back into town, clean up, have a dinner. We've had some awesome, a little plug for Marriott Courtyard, right? Both times in Phoenix, and we're going to be out of Sacramento. Like, they are giving us a conference room. They're actually catering food for us for breakfast and dinner, just for the organization. And
that's awesome.
So really, if you two want to go to fboverland.com, you can sign up for a trip. You've got, 4 more days to sign up for the July trip, but we've got a longer deadline for the September trip. We've got folks from the UK coming, Canada, Ireland. I think that's it this year, maybe New Zealand. And then Americans, and it's open to veterans, first responders, and other service members. Like, we've got our the chairman of our board of directors was an FBI agent, but he's also a CIA case officer and security guy. So we don't care if it's a similar background, just come on out. And like Paul said, pretty quickly you realize, doesn't matter what country you're from, we all kind of signed on the dotted line, and everybody's pretty close to the same mindset. So it's pretty good.
Very nice. And are there any requirements, like in order to go or whatever, just that you've been, you're a veteran, or you've been in a FBI or police force or something?
Yeah. So what we say is veteran, first responder, or service member of some kind. And we want to make sure it's a good fit, because we don't want you to get out there and you decide that's not what you wanted. So we do interviews with whoever signs up, just kind of set expectations, and then make sure we answer questions. A lot of that's to alleviate anxiety too, I think, about the unknown. We had a guy, Tony, who lost 45 pounds in anticipation it was going to be like Special Forces selection or something. And but it was good because he needed to lose 45 pounds.
Yeah.
But that was bad. That was on us, right? Like, we needed to set expectations earlier. But I've got guys who'll say, like, I've got spinal cord injury, or I've got migraines or whatever. And I was like, well, this is what we're going to do. Do you think you can do it? We'll accommodate. And if you have to stay at camp one day or whatever, that's cool. But we've got Ben, who every time I feel sorry for myself or my back's hurting or whatever, I just think of Ben, bouncing around with, double amputee and multiple fractures of his spine. And he's having the time of his life. We were in Moab. He was in a car driven by a good friend of mine. We were lieutenants together, retired as a major general. So they call him the general, of course, in his Toyota 4Runner. And he slid off the trail. And it wasn't like in a precarious, dangerous situation, but everybody freaked out. And so everybody jumps out of the car. Well, they leave Ben in the back seat. And it's like, oh my God, we forgot about Ben. And you hear him and he's just laughing. And you're like, what's up, Ben? He's like, no, he blew up in a Land Rover. Like, that's how he got hurt. And he's like, this isn't how I die. I've already been here before. Like, we're good. He's laughing. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Man, sounds like a good time for sure. Did I freeze? I didn't freeze, did I?
Nope.
No, I hear you.
Okay, good.
You're good.
I thought I did for a second. I was like, whoa, what happened? Well, is there anything else that we need to cover down on when we're talking about Fox Bravo Overland? Like, is there something we missed or something you guys want to talk about?
I mean, we talked about the expedition, and folks have already been on a trip. The difference with the alumni, as Greg said, is you've been on at least one trip before. It's a shorter trip, but it's a harder trip. It's a Roman March type of thing where we have a route that we've recce'd, but we are going point to point, and those are going to be longer days in the vehicle. They're more overland specific. So if you're going that, you love being part of that overland, you like that off-road part, you're like being, we don't have the chow truck that comes and does support. We take everything with us. And so each, and this is one of the reasons why we can only take so many people, especially for those trips. One is time, but two, each vehicle does a dinner every night for everybody. So that moves around. So that gives you that part of, hey, who's got it tonight? And every vehicle has a name. So it might be, Oliver's got dinner tonight. They're making fajitas or something like that. Tomorrow night, it's going to be Luna and they're making whatever. So that trip does work a little different. And again, those trips, people can bring their own vehicles out. We only have so many spots, obviously, and people want to bring their vehicle out. But you have to go and you have to go to the expedition. You have to kind of show that you could be a team leader to bring your own vehicle out on the alumni trip. Everybody that comes out on an expedition has been out on trips. Most of our folks have been out multiple times. We also, for the expeditions, those who are some of the guys who are professional contractors in off-roading that I referenced earlier, they come out on those trips. So you're getting, basically world-class instruction from some of these folks and people that have been going out with Greg and I for some of them up to 15 years, the 15 plus years that we've been going out. So that's just for the listeners on kind of the difference between the two. It's not less base camp and more of it is what we call Roman March. And so we'll try to, and if we get slowed down with a breakage and everything breaks, even Toyotas, or flat tires or something like that, well, we've got to make up that time somewhere because we've got 7 days to do this route.
Right. Okay. Very nice.
I think the thing that I would add is if some of the people listening, if they've got connections with industry, and it could be outdoor and camping stuff, it could be vehicle related stuff. Like we're always looking for in-kind donations. We're looking for that help for prizes or sponsorships or whatever. And if people want to donate, I mean, obviously this is a charity, nonprofit, and we have very generous people that, so what the way we kind of set it up is a scholarship. So, if Paul wants to go on the trip and you want to pay for a scholarship for him, you can actually support him. Doesn't mean Paul specifically gets to go, but you're going to pay for a veteran or service member to go on the trip. Right. And, or you can buy meals for the whole team, or or you can pay for the whole trip. But you can find out about that on the website. Because we are, like I said, we're all volunteers. Nobody's getting paid to do this. All of our drivers, like Paul said, are people that have gone on trips before, and they're donating their time and their vehicle. We pay their gas and lodging and food on the way to and from the trips, but they're spending a lot of time and their vehicle to get out there. Right. So we do rely on that generosity.
Very nice. All right, man. Mike, you've been kind of quiet. You got any questions?
No, I'm just listening, enjoying it. I think the question was already answered as far as like bringing your own gear and stuff like that. But you said if you don't have it, then you would supply it. But you're allowed to bring your own gear, camping gear and stuff like that if you have it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at our age, I have shared a tent with Paul, but at our age, I kind of like having my own space.
And it's a big tent. It is. So it's a big ground tent. So that's we're not
in the one man.
I don't blame you with that. I mean, I didn't like spending a night in a tent with Andrew either. So I mean, that's
I don't know what the deal is.
We're not putting.
It's amazing how everybody snores but me. I'm not sure how that works either.
Yeah, exactly.
Our first year, we had a buddy that came out and he did mountain climbing. He brought all this like super Gucci titanium, super light gear, and for like he was going to climb Everest or something like that. And we've got refrigerators in the trucks. We've got all this stuff. And like, dude, I'm not infantry. I don't walk anymore, man. That's why I got a truck. I can load this thing up. And
it's the old adage. It's like if you can, why stand when you can sit?
Yeah.
Why run when you can walk?
We were just a quick story. We were in one of my favorite places to go is a place called Oahe. It's up in the Idaho area, the Idaho, Nevada area. It's absolutely spectacular place. I recommend it for any of your listeners. But we're driving and we are in the middle of nowhere, coming from the middle of nowhere. And I'm up front and there is a guy walking. And my brother's on this trip with me. I'm like, what is that? Is that a dude walking towards us? Where is that guy going? What is going on here? So we pull up. The guy, I'm like, hey, dude, you all right? You okay? Like, yeah. Turns out he was one of these guys who was walking the Oregon Trail, like the entire
no
trip,
kidding.
which goes into the middle of nowhere. And if you just happen to be listening, give me a call because I've always wanted to get in touch with you again. But so we're sitting there talking to the guy, and I'm like, hey man, you want some water or something? Oh. That would be. Do you have any? I'm like, dude, I got a truck. Yeah, I've got like gallons of water in the back. He's like, oh, it saves me 7 hours from walking down in the ravine to get water to come back up. I'm like, all right, well, cool. So we go to back. It's like 9 a.m, by the way. You want a beer? Oh, that would be great. Do you have beer? Like, oh yeah, I got plenty of beer in the fridge. Like open a cold one. He's just chugging a beer. He's like, oh, this is amazing. It's like that's why I have a truck, so I can have a beer and cold. I'm not walking to Oregon or wherever you're, Missouri or wherever you're going. Good luck to you, sir. And we'll go there. So that's what we kind of laugh about. It's like, hey, we also, for those folks, we have a gear list. We'll tell, hey, people, here's what we think you should bring, so people don't bring the kitchen sink. I mean, we only have so much room in the vehicle for 3 people, but it's comfortable. And yes, we've got all the camping gear you would need. Obviously, folks that come in from overseas, tents, sleeping bags, things like that, we don't expect all of those folks to bring that. So you do need to bring your own underwear. We do not give you underwear or socks.
What?
That's for sure.
That doesn't come complimentary?
Yeah.
I know, but if you want to go, if you're the type of person that's in the field and goes free, good for you. I'm not going to ask any questions. I don't care.
What you're saying is don't blow your budget going to REI to meet up with you guys and the latest and greatest. Yeah.
Well, and that's it. We don't want people. We don't want this an extra stress, especially with some people that might be going through certainly financial stress or whatever, which is, as we know, is one of the main drivers for badness. We want people to not have to worry about that, right? Yeah. Bring the pack that you got. We can help you out. We'll work with you and get what you need. Or someone on the trip's going to be coming that will have some gear for you. And that's basically it. And that's what we want to get it. So we want people, there's people that, as I said, Greg does interviews and things like that. So we understand what people are getting into. But then it's just meeting us at that point at that airport. We'll grab you at the airport, or you'll get down to where we're going to be, and then we'll go from there. And that's your worry, is just going on the trip, not to go to REI because you feel you have to go get some Gucci gear or something like that.
Although if you like Gucci,
Yeah, if you need an excuse, that's a pretty good excuse.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. That's
your local Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop and all that good stuff.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, we usually hit Bass Pro or Cabela's before we kick off on the trip, and it's amazing what people didn't know they needed for the trip.
Right.
That's true. That just happens no matter what.
Right.
I could be going just to go shopping at a grocery store, and if I happen to pass by a Bass Pro, I'm coming out with a ridiculous amount of fishing gear. I didn't know I needed it to go to the grocery store, but apparently I did.
I tell you, you take the Brits or folks that have never been in a Bass Pro or Cabela's, and it's incredible the look, like just walking around. This is ridiculous. Like, yeah.
Norwegians, everything in Norway is so expensive, and they'll go in. These guys will go in and they'll buy hundreds of dollars and stuff because it's so cheap.
Yeah,
and we got to figure out how to get it back to Norway for them. Right? And we're going to start an import-export company just to send all their stuff back.
Yeah. There you go.
Heck, even people I know from like London and in Europe, they come over here and they walk into a Walmart for the first time. It's like, Are you kidding me? I can only imagine if you're any kind of outdoorsy, you walk into a Bass Pro or anything like that, they're probably losing their freaking mind.
The taxidermy or the taxidermy or some gigantic fish like tank. It's just, you see that stuff.
Tank, absolutely
incredible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Andrew, you kind of hit on a little bit ago, but like you were saying, as far as veterans, first responders, stuff like that, do you guys have any limitations on veterans and stuff like that would prevent you from doing this?
I mean, we haven't really come as far as physical or mental issues. I mean, obviously, if you're not in a fit state to sit through an interview and decide to go on a trip. We've only had, from all of our trips, we've only had one guy that we had to fly home that kind of had some issues. The guy that we went to Europe with last year, Billy, who runs their program, said basically you can't take everybody screwed up all at once. That's like the bottom line, right? Because then they all mutiny on you and your trip's over. So if you have a pretty good ratio of crazy and not so crazy, then you can, sort of tag team taking care of people, and really pretty quickly it becomes pretty tight knit. So we really haven't had issues like that. As far as physical issues, I don't think we've really. We haven't turned anybody away, and I go back to Ben and what he deals with, and some of the other amputees and just other people that have to take medication, heart medication or whatever. We set expectations like we're going to be up at altitude, you're going to sleep outside, and it's going to be 30 degrees, you're going to sleep in a sleeping bag. And if people can do that, they get and ride in a car, then we don't make them walk anywhere really. So there's really not much. We did. The interviews are pretty good because, like I said, it sort of sets expectations of folks, and it kind of gives us a read on people if they're ready to do a trip like this. But yeah, so far so good.
I like it. So to kind of go off that one last time, if it doesn't matter the discharge, it doesn't matter anything like that, or it's just if you served or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to check on.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And you have to, we've had people, as Greg said, that obviously certain amputees couldn't drive, we had one individual came out, he lost his license, but he'd come out. So obviously he's not going to drive from an insurance standpoint. We can't have that person drive. So even if a person isn't in a position to drive, but wants to come out for that experience, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's to be on the trail or be with folks or whatever. And we've had some very successful folks come out that, really could take or leave the driving part of it, but just enjoyed being part of the crew again and seeing some phenomenal, it is spectacular in this country. And you really get that from the other folks and even guys from New Zealand, which I haven't been there, but obviously we've all seen what that country looks like, but they look at some of the stuff that we have in our country, and we're really, really lucky to have what we can. We're even more lucky, as I said earlier, that it's open land, that no one owns it, and we're all allowed to go and be a part of it and take advantage of it and see it. And so that's really, and we talk about that in the interview part, but we've had that. So, but to get in, to get some stick time, to get behind the wheel, you need to have a license. And as I said, we had a guy on our last trip that we met down there in Phoenix was helping us out, and he was a helo medic for a first alert medical evac company. So it wasn't military background or everything, but that's a first responder as we're concerned. So that's a person that's going to come. So it's not just necessarily law enforcement. We're also looking at first responder. Anybody who had that type of job, right, working for, government essentially, right, type of thing.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Shoot. Well, thanks for coming on here and sharing and telling us what's going on with what you have. I think it's incredible. I think everybody should go out there and, sign up, have you guys do the interview. That way you're overwhelmed and you have so many people you got to go. No, I'm just kidding. But in all honesty, I think what you're doing is fantastic. And if we can help in any way, please let us know. But I like it.
Yeah. Can I ask one more question, Andrew?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut anybody off, but is this something that you would, be interested in trying to expand like to the East Coast or something like that? Or, I know there's a lot to it. Yeah. It's not that simple, but.
Yeah, I think the issue with that is, yes, we would like to expand and open it up and make it easier for people to get to. But the reality is, the open land, right, on how you do some of these trips. Vermont has some places where you can go to, but to really to go on a long trip, you could probably, and my brother and I, my brother's in Pennsylvania, outside of Philly, looked up going into Canada, actually, which is up into Ontario and up in Newfoundland and stuff like that. There are some great trips there, but logistically, we're mostly West Coast folks, so getting all of the vehicles and everything back there. But certainly it's something
the
that
future.
we'd like to know. And if there's some folks that know some great places out there where you can go for 10 days, being from Jersey, I just haven't seen that, Mike. And so that's our big thing about being out west. We also looked at Arkansas, but again, when you're looking at a 10-day expedition that's covering a lot of room, we just haven't figured anything else outside of the West that we could do that, especially with the BLM, National Forest, and all that open land that we have.
Well, it had to be one of those things that, I mean, you guys had these expeditions, it almost had to be something where you had another team doing the same thing at that point.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot to it. So I was just curious to see.
Yeah, no, we'd be happy. Yeah. Growth pattern like that would be fantastic. If we get enough, and we're starting to have more. There's a big nucleus down here in Texas, of course, because that's when we sort of restarted. We got a bunch of Texas folks. We're actually going, two of us are going to Arkansas the end of April to kind of do a recce out there and see if, because some of the guys out there are like, yeah, we've got plenty of trail. I know that's not East Coast, but for a West Coast guy, that's East Coast.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's more East, right? And so now some of our guys are in Colorado and Wisconsin and Ohio and Virginia. And so it is feasible. And I think as we grow, I think that's absolutely a great idea. If we can get, we would like these hubs, right? Like even with the workshop piece, to get people involved. So
now, whereabouts in Arkansas are you going to be going?
So looking up in the Ozarks, so probably going just south of the Missouri border, and then sort of heading west toward Bentonville, that direction.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy that I work with teaching off-road driving who actually lives up that way. And so he's promising the moon. He wants us to go check it out. So we'll see where it actually is. Totally different terrain, right? Like a lot of wet, swampy, but
very
could be good. So so we may very well in the future have a trip. I think next year we're looking maybe at being back in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the other issue that we haven't talked is just weather, right? We're not really looking to do winter trips, quite frankly.
It's understandable.
And so when you're out west, right, there's really only May through October that you can, maybe into November, that you can do a lot of these trips, just because of the snowpack or what you'd have, and maybe a little on the East Coast as well. But it is something that we do look at, and by going to other places, whether it's Arkansas or wherever, that we can do a good, 7-day, 10-day trip on. If there was something that we could put in the winter, it would allow us to even it out, because we do sometimes have to compress stuff just for weather reasons. I did my first part of my recce down in Phoenix this year, and I have a Land Rover Defender, which I bought a couple of years ago, which the AC is not really working in. It doesn't have AC anyway, but I put some in and it doesn't really work that well. The bottom line is 108 degrees, gets warm for anybody, even with AC and the vehicles. So even there we had to, and we went up to altitude, but we had to take a look at what would be the time frame. We're not going to do that in the middle of July or August, and same with parts of Utah. So that's something we do look at on our trips, is when we can actually, where we can do it. And you have to jump around for that type of stuff. Even this year, being here, we'll see, for those that out west that are listening, we did not have any snow this year. That all apparently went to the Northeast and that weather. So our fire, we'll have to see kind of what the fire ratings are by the time we get to our September and October trips, which will be out here, kind of how those affect things, right? And so, we'll figure it out, but that's another thing, Mike, that goes into these trips, is kind of what are we looking at for weather-wise, and how that will affect, how the trip happens and how it works.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Yeah. Wow. Well, guys, thanks for doing this. Truly appreciate you guys. Now, we always do at the end of this, and I don't know if you've ever watched any of the shows, but we always do what we call words of wisdom. And I don't know if you're ready for that, but we're going to do it anyways, whether you are or you're not. So I'll hit Mike up first, so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. And then I'll give it to you guys one at a time there, so you can give your words of wisdom. But this is the segment we call words of wisdom. All right. Well, we'll start with you like all my goofy stuff.
That's pretty high speed.
Hey, you know, us Marines.
Andrew's retired. He's got all the time in the world to figure all this stuff out. So.
Yeah. You know, high speed. All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
Well, this one I actually heard on a radio show. They were talking about, they do a thing that's kind of like what you do, Andrew. It's like they call it go around the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have anything, what do you want to talk about? Something you experienced. And it was kind of a words of wisdom thing. But this guy was talking. He said, it doesn't matter what it is. We're all going through something. It says, whether you need to lose weight, or whether it's sobriety or mental health, or, finances, or anything like that. We're all going through something, and there's always something we're worried about. But he said, a year from now, you will wish that you will have started today.
Ooh, wow. That's pretty powerful. Yeah, I like that.
We all have, I'm numero uno on that one. I'm the biggest offender. I've got 101 excuses why I won't do something or why I can't. And it's because of me personally. It has nothing to do with, circumstances.
Right.
But, if it's kind of like what you guys are talking about, you bring people together, and that's something like this podcast does. You rebuild camaraderie, you do things and change your mindset. But a year from now, will you regret that you didn't do something? If you started today, will you regret it a year from now?
Yeah, that's good.
And that's something that, I think we all need to stop and think about. At least me, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I like it. I didn't know it was going to be that good. I'm sorry, fellas.
Yeah, I didn't have the
humbug. He came in with a good one right away, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." But I'll let you guys pick. I mean, who wants to go first? Notice that
I was thinking over the show notes to see if this was in the show notes of us prepping.
No,
Mike, obviously
it isn't. It is not.
Yeah, now it's a total off the cuff.
Yeah.
I think the Colonel will go next first.
Well, yeah, the Colonel should go first. I mean, that's
the Colonel. The Colonel. I mean, he is the Colonel.
All right. So mine's very simple. It's something a phrase that we coined a long time ago. Because as you go through life, it can be pretty boring, right? You never take chances, you never take risks, you don't do anything out of the ordinary. And what is it at the end of it? It's nothing even worth remembering. And so we come up with the saying, no adventure without misadventure. And so unless you somehow get off track, it's just a boring trip. And it really epitomizes the trips we go on, right? Because there's something's going to go sideways. So yeah, no adventure without misadventure.
Wow, that's good. That's every single trip I've ever been on. I'm telling you, I'm living that, baby. I got it. All right. Well,
we also like to use that just as an expectation management thing to tell people. So when we do mess something up, or we do get lost, or
it's part of the plan.
There's no adventure like misadventure, so that was the expectation, right? So,
very good.
And also kind of what I was going to say, so I shouldn't have let the Colonel go first. But I think mine. I'll say two quick things. One, just Mike, on what you're saying, and this is what we kind of have told some folks too, is don't tell yourself why you can't do it. Ask yourself why you should do it, right? Like on coming out on the trips, and that's what we look at, right? Like don't come up with a million reasons why you can't do it or whatever, but really some self-reflection of why you should come out to see us. What can we provide, or what do you want that we can kind of give you? So that kind of dovetails off of your part of not procrastinating, but kind of getting up and doing it and moving forward. Interestingly enough, we are all, most folks are veterans. We do have law enforcement and stuff, but most are veterans. And at some time, even law enforcement or whatever, we were motivated to do something for some reason. Whether we were made to be motivated or not. And so that's what we try to do is don't think of the reason why you can't come out and do something or do what you want to do. Think about why you should actually do that. So that kind of dovetails off of your part, Mike. But and then I would say, like, look, by the way, if you go off-roading or whatever and you get stuck, just let a little air out of the tires. That's going to get you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that simple. So if you're in a bad position, stop, brew a cup of tea, as the Brits say, take it in, and make a good decision. And sometimes it's as simple as just letting a little air out of the tire so you can get through the rough patch or you can get unstuck.
That was good too, man. It didn't phase you two gentlemen at all. You were like, I got this. Don't you worry about it. That was good.
If I talk long enough, I'm going to come up with some type of answer that's going to make sense.
You got there. It was good. It was great.
That's
right,
the
guys.
Marine officer in you.
Yeah. But guys, thanks again. Real quick, hit us up with like a way people can get in contact with you, or any last minute things that you want to tell everybody.
So we're on the web. The website's here posted. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can sign up for a mailing list. We put out a newsletter every month, let you know when the trips are coming up, how to sign up for the trips. But yeah, so we're on most of the platforms. If you got questions, there's an email address. I'll end up seeing all the emails. I can answer any questions. Be happy to start a conversation.
And we do have some videos. I think it's fox.bravo.overland.com on the YouTubes, right, Greg?
Yeah, just search for Fox Bravo Overland.
Feel free to go check out. You can be one of 15 people that have actually watched some of those videos. We're getting a lot of traction on them. So feel free to get in there. Be number 16. There might be a prize if you're under 20, and we know it. You know, you have 10 minutes for $19.99. Get this special award. But there are some videos about what actually the trip is like, and some stuff that are out there. So feel free to kind of take a look at that, or as Greg said, the other social media, and maybe get an idea of whether it's something you'd like to be a part of or support.
Cool.
Right? Even if you don't want to be a part of it, but you want to support and help out, that would be really helpful.
Absolutely. Well, shoot, I've had a good time. Hopefully you gentlemen had a good time. You know, we'll have to have you back because you're going to tell your individual story. I'm sure everybody out there is just on the edge of their seat. They want to know your individual story and everything that you did. So I look forward to having you back. Am I strong arming good enough, or do I need to work on that? Anyways, thank you again for coming on. Truly appreciate it. I'll end this the same way I end every single podcast, and that's talking about veteran suicide and ways to get some help. But for anybody out there, if you're struggling, you need help, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or go to veteranscrisisline.net. Click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. Paul cares about you. Greg cares about you. Mike cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need a helping hand, please give it to them. All right, fellas, one last time. Thank you very much. To everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
No more 22. On to the journey and finish the fight.